Well, good morning, everybody. 10 o'clock, 7th of December, 2024. Lots of news. I gotta probably start jumping right into this and tell some news before this video gets to be too long. Oh, here's a girl for you guys to see, I guess. So, anyway, another one. Girl out there walking her dog too far away. Divushkis. Divushki. I guess that's the plural anyway. Divushka. But okay. You know, it's incredible what's going on. If you were following what's going on in Romania, you know they had a vote, and it's like a lot of other countries. They have first a vote, and then they have it's find out who gets a certain amount of percentages of the vote. If there's nobody with a full majority, then whatever parties participated in that, I guess they decide on which ones will do the runoff. It's like that in France too, but it's in Romania, and there was one party, I believe it was like 23% or somewhere around there, and then there was a second party that had, I think, 19%, but the one with the most votes was not an anti-Russia party. I'm not saying he's a pro-Russia, but he was not anti-Russia. And it's very much like that in Georgia. The Georgia Dream Party that won is not pro-Russia, but they're not anti-Russia. So that's the big difference right there. Like, it's just, if you're looking at, say, Hungary or Slovakia, it's not that those countries are, with leaderships that are pro-Russia. It is just that they are not anti-Russia. So the whole entire, that's not even a woman. Did I say? Skinny guy. Anyway, wasn't good looking anyway. Well, there's a woman, definitely. Sorry. And there's one for some of you guys right there, babushka. And but anyway, what was I saying? That babushka threw me off there. First, I'll tell you, this area here, it's like towards the edge of Minsk, and I come here very often. I go shopping because there's a place over there where it's a Russian shop, and it gets cheaper. You know, you can get cheaper products than in the rest of it, and then if you get a lot of things, it actually ends up. And at the same time, there's another store there, even though they have those in different parts of Belarus. It's also sort of a discount store. It's all the same products as you get in another place, but why would you want to go and pay more? Actually, I don't want to go walking with this guy. So let me walk back this direction here. It's like I'm going out for a walk with that guy and his dog. Catch up with that babushka there and take her cane from her. So anyway, what I'm getting at in but Romania is yes, you cannot believe. And not long ago, as you know, they had this election in Moldova, and what they did in that country is a little bit different. And it's strange they didn't figure out a way to do that with Romania. But what happened is, the one that is not anti-Russia, he got the majority. It's not an overall majority, but he got a majority of the votes compared to the other parties. So he got, like, I don't know, nearly 23%. And one of the other parties, which was not really super anti-Russia, but of course, you know, you have to shy away from Russia. A lot of people know that. You have to be towards anti-Russia before you're going to get any support from the European Union at all. So anyway, she had 19, and so what they did is they annulled the election. They said, okay, the election, threw it out. And then in the paperwork about that election, why they threw it out, they put no reasons. They put no reasons, and they just annulled the election. I don't know. There's even some rumors. This stuff came out, I guess, today. There's even some rumors that they banned that guy from running in the next election. And he came out and he said he's never been to Russia. He doesn't know Vladimir Putin, nothing about that. And they have no evidence that he's pro-Russian. But nevertheless, because he's not anti-Russian. And that's how that possibly has been working even in the Chihuahua states, the Baltic states, Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania, that in order for you to actually form a government in these countries, you must be anti-Russian. You cannot be neutral. You must be anti-Russia. I was been saying that in the last videos that I had too. You cannot be a sensible person. You must have a frothing hatred of Russia, and that seems to be what it's like all throughout all Europe and the entire region. You must hate Russia, and that's probably going to be the case where they're going to start overthrowing governments, maybe even in Africa, everywhere. You must be anti-Russia. So they're throwing all their energies that they possibly can dream up to get Russia. Isn't that incredible? And it's not that Russia has ever done anything to them, but I think what they fear Russia. Russia has resources. Part of it is to fear Russia. They fear Russia, and Russia has way too much potential. And apparently, some economic data that came out recently as well, they has far more economic potential than, for example, the United States. So that really scares them. And and it's not only that, why they are making these anti-Russia countries, and they're doing everything possible to do that. It's because, obviously, when I said before, they want to split Russia up. They want to split Russia up into, 30 or 40 countries? Oh, here's my partner again. No, he's going back. That was this proposal by I can't remember the name of the think tank. It's a NATO think tank run by Günther Fehlinger, who's an economist from Austria. And you can find it online. You can find it. Look up Günther Fehlinger, F-E-H-L-I-N-G-E-R. Can't spell unless I have a pen and a paper with me. But like I said, you can look up Austrian economist. He's not an Austrian economics, but he's an Austrian, and he's an economist, and he's runs the think tank for the expansion of NATO. And very interesting. And the countries he hates the most, it's not Russia, it's Belarus. He hates this country more than all countries. And his second most hated country is Serbia, because it acts a little bit like Belarus, because they think independently. And like I'm just saying in this talk right now, you're not allowed to think independently. You must hate Russia. So that is, and Belarus doesn't hate Russia. They try to get along with Russia. So I don't like walking by people, because they give me it draws my attention away, because they give me this, they hear the English language and they start staring at me, and it distracts me and I start losing on my thoughts on what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Like that lady right there. Okay, so that's talking a little bit about Georgia and Romania. No, I talked about Romania, not Georgia. No, Georgia, they still haven't let go on that one, and they're still working on that. And if you are, for example, I think even from Belarus, they have buses. You can charter, well, not that you charter it, but they have chartered buses. And I don't know where they put up these in this country. I haven't seen it, but you get trips to Georgia to go to the protests. In other words, to show strength in numbers, to go, protesting on the streets. And they're trying to make out that those are pro-Russian, but they're not the Georgia Dream Party is not a pro-Russian party. It is a pro-Georgia party. And I've said before, and other people say this, is the one who's leading this is the president of Ukraine. I mean of Georgia, and that's I can't remember her first name, but anyway, her last name is Saurabishvili, something like that. And she is born in France, raised in France. She's French, but I guess she has maybe her parents were from Georgia, but she's French all the way through. I'm assuming she speaks the Georgian language, but beyond that, maybe because she grew up in a household that was speaking that, but her loyalties are with France. Very strange. And she's the president. She was assigned there in 2004 by Saakashvili, who is a puppet, and an admitted puppet of the United States. And remember, when he ran out of Georgia, he ran to Ukraine, and I guess he became the governor of Odessa in Ukraine. And then he was ran out of Odessa, ran out of Ukraine, and he had fights with the Ukrainians even. He was actually probably trying to become the ruler of Ukraine as well. So he was ran out of there, and he ran back to Georgia. Strange he didn't go to the States, but then they put him in prison in Georgia. I guess he was wanted there. Even parties and people that were on his side, they still put him in jail. and he's still in jail there now. And it's probably what is going to happen if they can overthrow the government, you know, with these protests and all that, with, you know, their Molotov cocktails and whatever, that they're going to probably let him out. Who knows? Maybe he'll be a big hero there, Saakashvili. I think you can remember him. He used to like to suck on his tie. They have, you know, videos where he's sitting at his desk and he sticks his tie in his mouth. I don't know. Maybe like the smell of the ties. I don't have any idea. Anyways, a Yale graduate, just like a lot of these real wicked people, you know, throughout the world and in the United States. Yale, remember Skull and Bones, the Skull and Bones, George Bush, John Kerry. And remember, you have to do, part of the initiation into Skull and Bones is doing homosexual acts. You know, hey, that explains LGBT. You know why? You know, this stuff is all, you know, it's all tied in. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. And of course, LGBT is just another means of control from certain elites in the world, the globalists, Soros party and all that. And there was a video just now, I think it just came out yesterday. I'm going to be jumping ahead of myself, and I was talking about all this stuff because this stuff just fascinates me, and I'm sure a lot of you are fascinated by it too. And maybe that's why some of you watch these videos, and maybe that's why it's suppressed in YouTube, because, you know, they're on that side and we're on this side, but maybe they're not finding anything really that incriminating to completely ban me from YouTube. You know, they got rid of Jackson Hinkle. Well, he went a little bit too far, you know. He made it, you know, obvious that he was very pro-Russian, things like that. But, you know, I'm not really pro anything. I'm just pro-humanity. And it's just like what Lavrov said when he made this this interview, and I mentioned that yesterday in the video. What he said, that unlike the United States and the West, Russia is pro-people, and the United States is out, well, they're out for people, and the United States and the West are out for resources. So that's one reason why they're trying to take over all these places. Lindsey Graham said, obviously, he wants to get Ukraine so he can rape it of the resources. And even the government of Ukraine right now, I've mentioned, they're there to allow their country to be raped, you know, of their resources, not for the benefit of Ukraine, but for the benefit of those that will kill Russians for them. And what I didn't say in the video yesterday, and I wanted to, I just forgot it, was that a lot of these people, they look, it's just like, just like this guy, and just like the same people, same kind of thing that's in Israel right now, the same ones that run, you know, it's the same ideology, just with different names. It's the same as what's in Ukraine right now, and what's in Israel, and what's that guy in the 1930s there in Germany. It's all the same ideology. And what they say, you know, like we're like the master race, God's chosen people. And remember, oh, Barack Obama, you know, we're the exceptional people. I mean, it's like, now they call that fascism, but that's not fascism. I don't even know if you call it racism, you know, because I was always saying, you know, there is one race, it's the human race. And if you look at the genetics of a chimpanzee, what they say, it's almost identical to a human, you know. But anyway, what I was going to say is, and I left it out yesterday, was Zelensky. He said that there are humans and there are species, and that Russians are species. So in other words, he's saying that they are not human, you know. That goes even further than what Adolf said, because Adolf is trying to say there are different races, and that the Aryans, which actually Germans are not Aryans, I don't think, you know, but I think Aryans were something that were a people that were around the time in northern India or north of India. I don't know, but that's what they were calling the Aryans, and it's not to be mistaken with the Aryan Christianity, which was Arius, you know, all this stuff. Gosh, you get so much stuff in your head, and I can make these videos going off on tangents, all different types of directions. But don't mistake that for the Aryans, and that was a different type of Christianity at that time. And of course, they were wiped out by the Franks, which what was it, Clovis, who was, I think, the grandfather of Charlemagne, who also was out to kill people that were not their branch of Christians. Later it became Catholicism, but Clovis and all that, they went around And if you do not convert to their branch of Christianity, they would chop your head off and kill you and all that. So that's how, and it later became, I don't know. That's the touchy subject, so I shouldn't be talking about that. Watch this in Belarus. If I just want to walk here, if I even walk up this way, everybody will stop. Oh, except for these guys. Look at this. They don't want to play along. Normally, whenever you walk up to here, like this guy, they stop. It's like a law, and you get in deep doo-doo if you do not stop when somebody wants to walk across these kind of places. Look at that guy, almost stopped. This one almost stopped. Wow, look at this. See? Here I am with a camera and filming people that don't let you. I mean, these people are probably scared crapless right now that I am maybe working for the government, and I show that they don't stop. Look at, see, like this guy, he stopped when somebody walks across. And this guy, oh no, they're working, so they're fixing things there. But anyway, interesting things. You see some fascinating things on this video, and the stuff that I'm telling you, very fascinating. For example, these people, I've never seen it. You even look like you want to walk across a crosswalk in Belarus and everybody stops. I mean, you don't even have to be facing that direction and they will stop, even if you're near it. Very, very much respect for the laws. Just so happens they didn't do that right when I had this film going. Very funny. Funny as anything. Okay, so anyway, now we're talking about these elections, but yet Russia interferes with the elections, not the West. And if you went to Georgia, and there's even film footage, you have people from the European Union going and marching on the side before the election, even before the election. They're marching on the side of the opposition parties, not the Georgia Dream Party, which is not pro-Russian. Actually, they want to be in the European Union, but it's just that they are not anti-Russia. And like I said, they want to be in the European Union, and they had to suspend it. But the deal is, the reason why it was the original, as you all remember, it was just weeks ago. The reason why the EU is against it, because they were coming up with a law that is in the EU, and the USA has a law, and it's the same law, and even Russia started it, that NGOs, foreign countries, funded by foreign entities, are not allowed. And they are there, like the United States, just like the National Endowment for Democracy, the NED, which I talked about in one video just a few videos ago. And that's Victoria Nuland. She is now a big shot in the NED. And I even told in one video that Mrs. Allen, they admit that they are part of the CIA, and they are there basically to control governments. And that's like an NGO. That is an NGO. It's like Voice of America or Radio Free, what was it? Radio Free Europe. Anyway, all these things, they're all linked to these intelligence agencies, and they are there to control these countries and to make sure that there are governments there that are friendly to the United States. Oh, there's just so much. And a German book, and I believe it's translated into English. And in German it's called Gekauften Journalisten. That's bought journalists. And this guy is named Udo something or other. You can find it somewhere. And he was on his deathbed. He's dying of cancer. So he came out and admitted that the United States pays, they pay money, they give lots of, any way they can get away with it to encourage journalists with money, vacations, expensive gifts like automobiles, all sorts of things, in order for them to write stories that are favorable to some of the nasty deeds and the things that are happening in the United States government. This is just incredible, people. It is absolutely incredible. I mean, when you know this stuff, and you sit there and you say, this is just daunting. There is absolutely no way that anybody has a chance against this huge monster. And this ties in with what Donald Trump was saying. He was threatening BRICS, and he was saying that he's going to destroy BRICS if they try to challenge the United States, the US dollar. So in other words, Donald Trump is not the nice guy that he says he is. He might, in a lot of ways, he knows that probably any kind of war with Russia is going to end in complete disaster, probably for everybody on the planet. So it's not that he loves Russia. He does not want to start a nuclear war. And he thinks these people are really stupid, which they are, really stupid for provoking Russia, poking the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear. So let's see what the bear does. Let's see what happens when you poke the bear, And he said Russia, which is very true, Russia has made a business of war. Russia is, you do not go to war with the Russians. I mean, Napoleon found that out. Adolf Hitler found that out. And here you have Joe Biden, who doesn't hardly have much of a military. You got a bunch of transgenders or something in there, and he's poking the bear. He's very lucky that Putin is, in truth, a moderate. He is, but they say, oh, Putin, evil Putin, he wants to go around killing people. He's exactly the opposite of that. Exactly the opposite. And it makes you really wonder if they want to get rid of Putin. I think Russia, they played good cop, bad cop. And Medvedev was also already the president of Russia. And just think what would happen. And he's actually like a hardliner now. He's not like what he was in the days with Obama. He's what, I don't know, you call him a hawk. He's more like a hawk now. So that's good cop, bad cop. And if you get rid of Putin, a very good chance you're going to get Medvedev. And he is, he's at least indicating, if you watch his tweets, he doesn't want to mess around. He doesn't want to mess around at all. He's going to play hardball with the United States. But Putin is a little bit more, chess player. He stands back. He doesn't ever make any moves right away. Whenever something happens, he doesn't necessarily come right out and lash out like Trump or any other people. He doesn't make any comments for a day or two when, he maybe calms down a little bit, tries to look at things, gather some information, and then he makes a statement. If you haven't noticed that already about Putin. Anyway, getting to more of this kind of information. This is going to be long. Okay. So anyway, free bus trip to Georgia to protest, to make sure you get an anti-Russia party in there. Yeah, and this president of Georgia, not even elected by anybody. I think she was put in there, she was assigned there, put there by Saakashvili, sort of like Kamala Harris. Nobody has ever voted for Kamala Harris. She's never won any election of any sort. But she was running for president of the United States. Okay, now let's jump to Israel. So Israel has now put out just a day or so ago that they're going to annex a huge portion of the West Bank, and it's not, it's close to what Seymour Hersh was saying. Maybe they decided, we got to play it a little bit safer now. I guess they're annexing around 6,000 acres, which will maybe even turn out to be much more, as you know how Israel operates. They have it on the books. I think it's like 5,900 and something acres, but it's probably going to end out in reality, we need a little bit more for this, we need a little bit more for that. So they're probably actually going to end up getting, who knows, 7,000 acres. That's what it's all about. And then you have this congressman in the United States, I don't know what state it's from, Tom Cotton. And he is saying that to stop calling it the West Bank, to call it what it's really called. And he said that it's called Judea and Samaria. And in truth, as far as what I believe that I had seen, which was amazing to me, and I think I remember this because it kind of surprised me, that Judea is not the West Bank. So I don't know where he gets his information. I believe Judea is mostly where northern Gaza is, the northern part of Gaza and that area right around there, quite a ways away from the West Bank. So that was, I believe, the ancient Judea. I don't know Samaria, but he's trying to say is these are Jewish areas and we should kick out the Palestinians, kill them, exterminate them, get rid of them. You know how a lot of these friggin' politicians in the United States are, we got to release these 100 hostages, so it's worth it killing 45,000 innocent people, mostly children from Palestine, because we got to get the hostages free. That's important. Jeez, very sick people. So anyway, you can find out yourself. I don't know. Maybe somebody can help me out here. Where was Judea? It's probably not that difficult. I don't want to waste the time to go look for it. These guys are all sick anyway. And I think maybe where the rest of Israel is right now, I think Tel Aviv and all that, I think in truth that used to be where the real Palestine was at. So maybe we should do that. Maybe we'll kick those people out of there, and maybe we should kick all the I don't want to say Jews, I want to say the Israelis, kick all these Israelis out, and let's find out what the real land of Palestine really was. And I think you're not going to like it. So let's do what Tom Cotton says, Mr. Cottontail. So yes. Anyway, that's just what I believe. We talked about Viktor Orban already. Yeah. And what about the Nazis? Yeah. And you know, Soros, a lot of people say, Jewish guy. Well, George Soros is not Jewish. And he said he's an atheist. And George Soros, I mean, he doesn't run the place anymore. What is it, Open Society, I guess it's his son, Alexander. But obviously, he still has tremendous influence there. But George Soros, back when he was a small boy in Hungary, you know, that's why he actually always tries to get Hungary, and he really hates Orban, and Orban doesn't like him either, because he's trying to overthrow the government. That's really amazing that Orban has been able to hang on to control for all these years. There, people like him. But anyway, when he was a child, he betrayed his fellow Jews to the Nazis. So in other words, he was actually a Nazi. He's been a Nazi since he's a small child. So that actually works out to how, you know, they just don't call themselves Nazis, but it's really strange. Like the leader of Ukraine, who calls people in the Donbass people that everybody says belongs to Ukraine, he calls them, and he calls the Russians, species. So when you love your people so much, you know, and that's what I was saying yesterday when Lavrov was mentioning that they've lost the right to govern over those people. They've lost the right to govern over those people in the Donbass when they call them species and not human beings, you know, and they bomb them. And like Petro Poroshenko, when he was the president, he was laughing and he said how we're going to make sure that those children, they grow up hiding in their basement from all of our bombings, while our children in West Ukraine go to school and then they go on to college. And those people that are over there, these species, he didn't call them species, but he probably means the same thing, that they will grow up being stupid and uneducated, you know, because they are of a Russian descent. And that reminds me of another thing. There was a guy, he was I might have mentioned it in another video at some point in time, but he was a Ukrainian, and he was one of these, one of those types of, you know, Slava Ukraine types of people. And he went to some genetic lab and had his blood taken, and he wanted to show that he was this pure type of blood. And they did this, and this was in Ukraine, I believe, and they found out that he was very little of his blood was from the area of Ukraine, and maybe the larger part of it was Russian. And he was so angry, he destroyed the lab. He destroyed the laboratory. You know, and it's really amazing how these people in this area, I mean, these people, they grow up just like in Israel, and they train these people to have hatred. They're raised in hatred of, you know, I just can't understand it. You see so much of that stuff everywhere. Boy, I really need to hurry up. It's almost 30 minutes. And okay, now we're talking about, like, say, for religions, and I was saying that, you know, George Soros is not really even Jewish, but that reminded me of Rockefellers. You know, they started this society of protection of religion, and then when you look at it, there's no protection of any of these what we call religions, maybe Muslims or Christians or Jews or Hindus or anything like that. But the whole thing, and there's money, and I guess you send money to, they're already rich people, but you donate money to this organization, and what they actually protect or what they actually support or fund is climate change, man-made. It's to go after and to try to prove man-made climate change, you know, that we humans, we terrible humans, we're the ones that are doing all this stuff, the CO2 levels, you know. And of course, as you know, CO2 is actually beneficial, and that's what plants need to provide oxygen, you know, and that's a large part of, well, not a large part, that's part of what we actually breathe. Most of this is nitrogen. I think 96% of the air is nitrogen, but we need oxygen as well. And yeah, so that's what that's all about. And oh, there was a study too. It was just recently done. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and it was done in Peru. And it's found out that methane gas, you know when you do that, and cows do this sort of stuff, that actually goes into the environment, and it's also converted into the CO2 part and all that for plant life. So that's also very good. It actually recycles itself. In other words, that's not even such a bad thing. So yeah. Okay, but anyway, these people like George Soros, Bill Gates, these people are actual real entrepreneurs, because they take some non-issue sort of a thing out of nothing and they create something. They create something to make a lot of money. It's just like the BLM movement or any of this stuff. And that, you know, Bill Gates, when he, you know, get this injection sort of a thing here, you know, it's a non-issue, non-existent, and they turn this thing into making ways to make huge amounts of money, billions of dollars. And then, yeah, and that leads us to another issue. Ursula von der Leyen. Ursula von der Leyen. She was in court when I was reading this. There was this thing where she's facing these very serious problems about her connection to Pfizer. I guess I can say Pfizer and not get deleted from YouTube. But Pfizer, you know, Pfizer, they fund CNN and all these networks. Huge, 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 you know? Really huge. You can call that the pharmaceutical industrial complex, and they're the main characters of it. So anyway, she was working with them, and this is the tune, I think. Let's see, I wrote it down here. Was it? Oh. Actually, this is another talk. Oh, it was 2.4 billion euros. So what is that, like $2.7 billion? I mean, you're talking about all this money that goes to Ukraine, you know, this 100 million here, 300 million, 700 million, but this is 2.4 billion euros, you know, that went to Pfizer. And incredible stuff. And she was involved in that. She and it was all these for these I guess I don't want to say it, vaccines. You know, the algorithms will suppress this video because I said that word. Anyway, but the strange thing is, I was reading this thing, and that she was in hot water and all that, and then it just came out. I think it was late yesterday, that the prosecutor suspended this thing indefinitely. So in other words, maybe 20 years, or they're just going to forget about it. So it's never going to go to court. And there's like concrete evidence of all this stealing. It's just like Hunter Biden. They knew that he was doing all this stuff. They have the evidence. And, you know, they hid it before the election to make sure that Joe will become the president. And it's just like that. These people, you know, and along with that, there's the Clintons and all this. And since Joe did this for his son Hunter, there's all these people now begging Joe for pardons because they made all these crimes, you know. Talking about Trump having all these crimes and then never been able to prove everything, and you know, and they dropped that because he's becoming the president. But gee, these people, they did crimes. Everybody knows they did crimes. There's evidence, and so they're begging. They're sitting there in line begging for pardons from Joe Biden. Incredible. So there's so much news in this. Sorry about this, guys. But anyway, I talked about elections. I should have put this in as well. But we have an election here in Belarus in January. I think it's the 20th, 25th, something like that. But there's not really any real opposition. So it makes you wonder if the powers that be are going to be trying some hanky-panky here. Who knows what? I don't know. Where are they going to get the people to protest and run out on the streets? And since it's in January, it's going to be pretty damn cold. I don't know. They're not going to get that many people out there, I guess. So, yeah. I should mention a little bit more about Syria and what's going on there. Erdogan, he came out and admitted that he is working with a group of terrorists, you know, in one part of that. So that's backed by Turkey, and they're paid by Turkey. And then there's the other part, which is paid by the United States, which Turkey doesn't like. So there's maybe a way to get those to fight against each other instead of fighting against Assad. And Assad, his party, obviously, you know, or his people, the real Syrian army, that's for the most part supported by Iran and Russia. Russia's doing a lot of the bombing work for them, and but they're making a lot of progress. The terrorists is what I mean. They're making a lot of progress. And the United States is, of course, there's Ukrainians also very heavily involved, and they're the ones operating a lot of this machinery, or what do you call it, not machinery. I mentioned that in the other videos too, like tactical jamming devices and things like that, so the other signals cannot get through. Only their signals can get through. And the unit I worked with in the military, they were involved in that sort of thing. It was what we called it's like a huge truck, a big 5-ton truck, and it's got some equipment on it, you know, with radar, things like that. Well, not really radar, anyway, but they're called the tactical jamming devices, and they have really powerful ones that they're using in Syria. And yeah, so then there's radars. Back in those days, we had something, and it was like a spy device, because I was in like a spy unit, and they called them, I believe they called it DMDGs. But anyway, that was back then. It was really amazing technology back in those days, and it was like a little laptop, and you sent messages. So we had like LRSD, you know, long range surveillance detachment or whatever, LRS, and then you go and you spy on this thing, and you carry water, and you're all in camouflage and all that sort of thing, and you send the messages via satellite, and it goes like even all the way to the United States, but it goes from satellite, and it sends the information on how many troops and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I guess those units are kind of banned, but they still have that sort of thing. One guy, I think I mentioned in a video too, and I think he went by the name, and I think it's in Wikipedia, Raymond Davis. I think that's not his real name, but you know, he was caught by Pakistan, and Obama was ready to bomb Pakistan, go to war against Pakistan, unless they let this guy go. So I was in an important unit, apparently. So a lot of things like that. I don't know, do I have anything else I wanted to say? Probably not. I might have missed a few things. It's not that big of a deal. Well, the only other thing I was going to say is, you know, how you see the United States and the West, for the most part, are controlling all these countries and make sure that they get governments that they control in there. And it's also the same thing as in Austria and even in France right now. And Macron is facing some real big problems at the moment. And that some people say, you know, that I think the prime minister had to resign. They have to form like maybe a different government. He's going to hang on there. It's just like Zelensky. It doesn't matter how much the people hate him, you know, and how badly he's running the country and how much it's getting destroyed. You know, he's going to stay there. I don't know about Olaf Scholz, but it's similar in Austria as well. You know, it turns out that there's a certain party that is like anti-Ukraine war, anti-war, not anti-Russia, not necessarily at all pro-Russia, but they are trying to suppress this because they want to make sure that anti-Russia parties are the only ones that are able to run these countries. If you're not anti-Russia, you have to be all this. As you know, like the Marine Le Pen's party, I guess she got the majority of the votes in the last election in France, but they made sure with the other parties, and they joined against it to make sure that they get nothing or very little control. That's how it's working, but I don't know. In time, maybe real democracy is going to work, but they're trying to suppress democracy. So I guess the whole thing that's going on right now is to make sure that democracy does not work. And that's called democracy. Well, okay. That's about all I have to say now. Kind of a long video. What is it? Oh, just almost 40 minutes. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me. Thanks. I'm happy with you guys. You all nice comments, things like that. And again, I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.